What if the only thing standing between you and your manifestation is the tension you're holding on to right now? Most people think they need to try harder, visualize longer, or force themselves to believe. But what if that's exactly what's delaying everything? The moment you stop chasing, something incredible begins to happen. Your mind becomes quiet. Your heart opens, and the feeling you've been searching for starts to feel natural instead of distant. In this video, you'll discover why relaxing into the feeling isn't giving up. It's the moment you finally align with what you've already imagined. Stay with me until the end, because one simple shift could completely change how quickly your desires begin to unfold. Have you ever noticed that the harder you try to make something happen, the farther away it seems to feel? Whether it's a new opportunity, financial freedom, a loving relationship, or a personal dream, there comes a point where constant chasing begins to create exhaustion instead of progress. Many people believe that if they think about their desire every minute, work harder than everyone else, or constantly search for signs that it's getting closer, they will somehow speed up the process. But in reality, that endless pursuit often communicates one message to your subconscious mind: I don't have it yet. Every moment spent chasing reinforces the feeling of separation between you and what you desire. Think about someone who already owns something valuable. They don't spend every hour wondering if it's still theirs. They don't wake up every morning anxious that it might disappear. They simply live with the quiet certainty that it belongs to them. That certainty creates peace, and peace creates stability. Your imagination works in much the same way. The moment you begin to treat your desire as something that already belongs to your inner world, your emotional state changes. Instead of feeling desperate, you begin to feel calm. Instead of trying to force results, you naturally expect them. This isn't pretending or denying reality. It's choosing a new relationship with your desire, one built on confidence rather than lack. Many people unknowingly delay their own progress because they measure every day by visible results. They check their phone hoping for a message. They refresh their email waiting for good news. They constantly ask themselves, has anything changed yet? While this may seem harmless, it keeps attention fixed on what appears to be missing. Your mind starts searching for evidence that your dream has not arrived, and every search strengthens the belief that you are still waiting. Waiting becomes a habit, and the emotional experience of waiting quietly replaces the emotional experience of already having. Instead, begin practicing a different question. Rather than asking, when will it happen, ask yourself, how would I feel if it had already happened? That one shift changes your focus completely. Maybe you would feel lighter. Maybe you would smile more often. Maybe you would stop worrying about the future because you would know everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Those feelings are available now. They do not have to wait for the external result. In fact, allowing yourself to experience them first is often what transforms your inner world. Imagine planting a seed in rich soil. Once it's planted, you don't dig it up every morning to see if it's growing. You water it, protect it, and trust that something is happening beneath the surface long before you can see it. Growth is invisible before it becomes visible. The same principle applies to your goals and dreams. There is always a period where nothing appears to be changing on the outside, even though powerful changes are taking place within you. If you keep disturbing the process with fear, doubt, or constant checking, you interrupt your own peace. But if you remain steady, patient, and emotionally grounded, you create the perfect environment for growth. Another important truth is that chasing often comes from the belief that your happiness depends on the future. It whispers, I'll finally be happy when I get that job. I'll finally feel complete when that relationship arrives. I'll finally relax when I earn enough money. But this mindset gives your peace away to circumstances you cannot fully control. True transformation begins when you realize that your emotional state is a choice, not a reward waiting at the end of the journey. When you choose peace before the result appears, you stop making happiness conditional. Ironically, this is when life often begins to shift in surprising ways. This doesn't mean you stop taking action or ignore your responsibilities. Calm confidence is not the same as passivity. You still make wise decisions, pursue meaningful opportunities, and remain open to growth. The difference is that your actions no longer come from fear or desperation. They come from clarity. You move because you believe in your future, not because you're terrified it will never happen. That subtle difference changes the energy behind everything you do. People notice it. Opportunities seem to appear more naturally. Even setbacks lose their power because they no longer define your identity. Every day, remind yourself that what truly belongs to you does not require constant chasing. It requires alignment. Your job is not to force life to cooperate, but to become the version of yourself who naturally expects good things. Walk with quiet confidence. Speak with hope. Think from the perspective of someone whose life is already changing. Let your inner world become a place of certainty instead of struggle. The more familiar this feeling becomes, the less you will feel the need to chase anything at all. So today, release the pressure to make everything happen immediately. Stop measuring your progress by what you can see. Instead, measure it by the peace you're beginning to feel inside. When you no longer chase what you've imagined because it already feels like part of you, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop living as someone searching for a miracle, and you begin living as someone prepared to receive it. Sometimes the greatest step toward your dream is not running faster after it, but finally becoming still enough to believe it has already found its way to you. Most people believe their life changes first, and then their feelings change afterward. They think, when I get the promotion, I'll feel successful. When I find the right relationship, I'll feel loved. When I have more money, I'll finally feel secure. It seems logical, because that's how we've been taught to think. But what if the process actually works in the opposite direction? What if the feeling comes first, and the experience follows? This is one of the most powerful shifts you can ever make. Your feelings are not simply reactions to life, they are the atmosphere in which your future begins to grow. Every thought you repeat carries an emotional response. Some thoughts fill you with hope, while others create fear or doubt. Over time, those repeated emotions become your normal state of being. Your mind starts accepting them as familiar, and your actions begin reflecting them without you even noticing. If you constantly feel worried, you'll often make decisions from worry. If you constantly feel confident, your choices naturally reflect confidence. This is why changing your feelings is so important. They quietly influence the way you speak, the way you think, the opportunities you notice, and even the way other people respond to you. Think about the difference between walking into a room feeling completely confident and walking into that same room filled with self-doubt. Nothing about the room has changed. The people are the same, the environment is the same, yet your experience becomes completely different because of the emotional state you carried with you. Confidence changes your posture, your voice, your eye contact, and your willingness to engage with others. Fear does the opposite. The outside world often mirrors the emotional energy you consistently bring into it. That's why your feeling matters far more than most people realize. One simple exercise can begin changing this immediately. Close your eyes for just a few moments and imagine that your greatest desire has already become real. Don't focus on every tiny detail. Instead, notice the emotion that naturally appears. Maybe it's relief because the waiting is over. Maybe it's gratitude because life has exceeded your expectations. Maybe it's joy because something you've dreamed about for years has finally arrived. Stay with that feeling. Let it become real in your heart. The goal isn't to force excitement. It's to become familiar with the emotional state of already having what you've desired. This is where many people make a common mistake. They try to manufacture powerful emotions for a few minutes and then spend the rest of the day worrying. They expect a brief moment of positive thinking to overcome hours of fear and frustration. Real transformation happens through consistency. Your dominant emotional pattern shapes your daily experience. That doesn't mean you must feel perfect every second. You're human, and difficult moments will come. But each time you gently return to feelings of peace, gratitude, and quiet certainty, you strengthen a new emotional habit that begins changing your perspective. It's also important to understand that your feelings don't need to be loud to be powerful. Many people believe they must constantly feel intense excitement for something to happen. In reality, some of the strongest emotional states are incredibly peaceful. Think about the calm confidence of someone who knows everything is going to work out. They don't need to convince anyone. They aren't trying to prove anything. Deep inside, they simply trust. That quiet assurance is often far more powerful than emotional highs followed by emotional crashes. Peace is not weakness. Peace is stability. As your emotional state begins to change, you may notice something interesting. Your circumstances may not shift overnight, but your reactions certainly will. Situations that once caused anxiety begin losing their grip on you. Delays no longer feel like disasters. Challenges become temporary instead of permanent. You begin making wiser decisions because your mind is no longer controlled by fear. This inner transformation is often the first visible sign that something meaningful is happening. Before the outer world changes, your inner world becomes stronger, calmer, and more aligned with the life you want to experience. Imagine your feelings as the roots of a great tree. The roots remain hidden beneath the ground, yet they determine the strength, health, and growth of everything above the surface. If the roots are healthy, the tree flourishes. If the roots are weak, the branches struggle. Your emotions work the same way. They are often invisible to others, but they quietly support every part of your daily life. Strengthen the roots, and eventually the fruit begins to appear. Ignore the roots, and no amount of decorating the branches can solve the deeper problem. So instead of waiting for life to give you permission to feel joyful, peaceful, grateful, or confident, begin choosing those feelings now. Let them become your daily practice rather than an occasional reaction. Ask yourself throughout the day, if everything I desire were already mine, how would I carry myself in this moment? Then gently become that person. Speak from that place. Think from that place. Live from that place. Your future is not created only by the actions you take. It is deeply influenced by the emotional state you repeatedly return to. When your feelings begin matching the life you truly desire, your entire perspective starts to shift, and often, long before the world notices the change, you will already know something beautiful has begun unfolding within you. That is where every lasting transformation truly begins. There is a quiet kind of strength that most people overlook. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it doesn't panic when things seem delayed. It simply trusts. That strength is relaxation, and it is one of the clearest signs of genuine faith. Many people think faith means repeating positive words all day, or convincing themselves that everything will work out. But real faith goes much deeper than words. It is revealed by the state you live in every day. If your mind is constantly racing, if you're always worried about when something will happen, or if you're endlessly searching for proof that your desire is getting closer, then fear is quietly leading the way. Relaxation, on the other hand, is the silent language of trust. Think about how you feel when you're waiting for something important. Maybe you've been hoping for good news, a financial breakthrough, a meaningful relationship, or an opportunity you've dreamed about for years. It's easy to become impatient. You begin checking your phone every few minutes. You replay conversations in your mind. You imagine every possible outcome. Although these habits seem normal, they often drain your energy instead of helping you. Constant mental effort creates tension, and tension convinces your mind that something is still missing. The more you cling to the outcome, the heavier your heart becomes. Now imagine a completely different approach. Imagine waking up with the quiet confidence that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. You still care about your dream. You still take meaningful action. But you no longer carry the emotional weight of trying to control every detail. You trust the process enough to breathe deeply, enjoy the present moment, and allow life to unfold naturally. That isn't laziness. It isn't giving up. It is a powerful declaration that your peace no longer depends on perfect timing or immediate results. Have you ever noticed how people perform their best when they are relaxed? An athlete moves more naturally when they stop overthinking every movement. A musician creates beautiful music when they stop worrying about every note. A speaker connects with the audience when they stop trying to sound perfect. Relaxation allows your natural abilities to flow. The same principle applies to your dreams. When your mind is calm, your decisions become clearer. You notice opportunities you might have missed before. Creative ideas appear more easily. Solutions begin showing up because your attention is no longer trapped by fear. One of the greatest misunderstandings is believing that worrying somehow proves commitment. Many people think, if I stop worrying, maybe I'll stop caring. But the opposite is true. Worry doesn't strengthen your dream, it weakens your experience of it. Worry keeps your attention fixed on problems you cannot solve in the present moment. Faith allows you to focus on what you can control today. You can choose your thoughts. You can choose your attitude. You can choose how you respond to uncertainty. These choices shape your inner world far more than endless worrying ever could. Picture someone planting a beautiful garden. After placing the seeds into the soil, they don't spend every hour digging them up to check their progress. They understand that growth requires time. Instead, they water the soil, remove the weeds, and trust the unseen process happening beneath the surface. Your dreams deserve the same patience. Just because you cannot see movement doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of life's greatest transformations begin quietly. long before they become visible. Trust often grows strongest during seasons when there is little outward evidence. This doesn't mean life will never test your patience. There will be days when doubt whispers that nothing is changing. There will be moments when delays make you question everything you've believed. In those moments, relaxation becomes a conscious decision. Instead of reacting with fear, you gently return to trust. You remind yourself that temporary silence is not permanent failure. You remember that progress isn't always obvious. Every time you choose peace over panic, you strengthen a mindset that can carry you through uncertainty with grace. It's also important to understand that relaxation creates space. When your mind is crowded with fear, there is little room for fresh ideas, meaningful inspiration, or unexpected opportunities. But when you become still, something remarkable happens. You begin noticing possibilities that were always there but hidden behind your anxiety. Conversations feel different. Decisions become easier. Even your relationships improve because you're no longer carrying constant emotional pressure. Your peaceful state begins influencing every area of your life. Perhaps the greatest gift of relaxation is that it frees you from believing you must control everything. Life has countless moving pieces beyond your awareness. People are making decisions you know nothing about. Opportunities are developing behind the scenes. Circumstances are changing in ways you cannot yet see. You don't have to manage every detail for your future to unfold. Your responsibility is to remain grounded, hopeful, and open while continuing to move forward with confidence. Trust that what is meant for you can find you without fear, pushing it along every step of the way. So today, choose to breathe a little deeper. Release the pressure to force every answer. Let go of the belief that constant struggle is necessary for success. Relaxation is not weakness. It is quiet confidence. It is inner stability. It is faith expressed without words. When your heart becomes peaceful, your mind becomes clear. And when your mind becomes clear, you begin seeing life through the eyes of possibility instead of limitation. Sometimes the strongest evidence that you truly believe your dream is coming isn't how hard you chase it. It's how peacefully you continue living while knowing it's already on its way. One of the biggest habits that quietly delays inner peace is the constant search for evidence. You tell yourself you'll finally relax when you see a sign. You'll believe when the message arrives. You'll trust when the money appears in your account. You'll feel confident when the opportunity finally knocks on your door. It sounds reasonable because we've been taught to believe only what our eyes can see. But if your confidence depends entirely on visible proof, your emotional state will rise and fall with every circumstance. One good day fills you with hope, while one setback convinces you that nothing is working. Living this way is exhausting because your peace is always being controlled by something outside of you. Think about how often people check for results without realizing it. They refresh their email hoping for good news. They constantly look at their phone expecting a message. They search social media for clues. They analyze every conversation, every delay, and every small event, wondering if it means they're getting closer or farther away from their dream. Although these actions seem harmless, they train the mind to stay focused on what hasn't happened yet. Every time you check for proof, you quietly tell yourself, I still don't have it. Over time, that feeling of waiting becomes stronger than the feeling of believing. Imagine planting a seed in a garden. After placing it in the soil, you don't return every few hours to dig it up and see whether it has started growing. You understand that growth happens beneath the surface before it ever becomes visible. The seed doesn't need your constant inspection. It needs patience, nourishment, and time. Your dreams often unfold in the same way. Much of the process happens where your eyes cannot see. Conversations are taking place. Circumstances are shifting. Opportunities are developing. Your own mindset is changing. Just because nothing appears different today doesn't mean nothing is happening. There is another reason constant checking becomes so draining. It keeps your attention fixed on the future instead of the present. Instead of enjoying today's opportunities, your mind is always asking, has it happened yet? That question creates tension because it assumes the answer is still not yet. But imagine replacing that question with a different one. Ask yourself, who am I becoming while I wait? Suddenly your focus shifts from chasing outcomes to growing into the person who can fully receive them. Instead of measuring progress by external evidence, you begin measuring it by your inner peace, your confidence, your patience, and your emotional stability. Some of the greatest changes in life begin long before they become visible. Think about sunrise. Before the sun appears above the horizon, the sky slowly begins to brighten. The world doesn't change in a single instant. It changes gradually. The same is true for personal transformation. Long before your circumstances reflect your new direction, your thoughts begin changing. Your reactions become calmer. Fear loses its grip. Hope becomes more natural. These quiet inner changes are often the first evidence that something meaningful is already unfolding. Many people overlook these inner victories because they're too busy searching for dramatic external signs. They ignore the fact that they no longer panic over delays. They don't notice that they're sleeping better, smiling more, or feeling less anxious than they used to. These are powerful indicators of growth. When your inner world becomes stronger, your outer experiences often begin aligning with that new state. Real transformation rarely begins with circumstances. It begins with identity. It's also important to remember that life rarely unfolds according to your exact timetable. Sometimes what feels like a delay is actually preparation. You may think nothing is happening because you cannot see the complete picture. But life often connects people, opportunities, and events behind the scenes in ways you could never predict. If everything arrived before you were emotionally prepared to receive it, you might not appreciate it or sustain it. Timing has a purpose, even when you don't fully understand it. This doesn't mean you should ignore reality or pretend challenges don't exist. It simply means you stop allowing temporary appearances to become permanent conclusions. A closed door today doesn't mean every door will remain closed. Silence doesn't always mean rejection. Delay doesn't always mean denial. When you stop interpreting every circumstance as a final answer, you create space for hope to remain alive. That hope keeps your energy steady instead of constantly rising and falling with every external event. One of the most freeing habits you can develop is learning to celebrate the unseen. Celebrate the fact that you're becoming more patient. Celebrate the peace that no longer depends on instant results. And invariably bow before the dictates of facts and accept life on the basis of the world without. They create resilience, and resilience allows you to continue moving forward with confidence instead of fear. So today, give yourself permission to stop searching for constant proof. Stop measuring your future by today's circumstances alone. Trust that life is capable of working in ways beyond what you can currently observe. Let your confidence come from the person you're becoming, not from the evidence you're collecting. The greatest breakthroughs often arrive quietly, after you've stopped obsessing over when they will happen. Remember this, evidence does not always come before belief. Very often, belief comes first. And when you choose to hold onto quiet confidence instead of constant checking, you free yourself from the endless cycle of waiting. You begin living with the calm assurance that what is truly meant for you is already making its way toward you, even if today you cannot yet see it. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to welcome opportunities, love, success, and abundance into their lives with ease, while others keep working harder and harder, but still feel like something is always out of reach? The difference isn't always talent, intelligence, or even effort. Very often, it's their ability to receive. Many people have learned how to desire, how to dream, and how to work, but they have never truly learned how to receive. Deep inside, they carry invisible beliefs that tell them they must struggle before they deserve something good. They believe happiness has to be earned through exhaustion, that success must come with constant sacrifice, or that receiving blessings without endless effort somehow isn't right. Those beliefs quietly become barriers that keep them from fully opening their lives to what they truly want. Think about a gift someone sincerely wants to give you. Imagine they hold it out with a smile, but instead of accepting it, you step back and insist you don't deserve it. They reassure you that it's meant for you, but you continue refusing. Eventually, the gift remains unopened, not because it wasn't offered, but because you never allowed yourself to receive it. Life can feel very similar. Opportunities often arrive, but fear, self-doubt, or feelings of unworthiness stop people from embracing them. Sometimes the greatest obstacle isn't the absence of blessings, it's the belief that you aren't ready for them. Many of us have grown up hearing messages like, "Nothing worthwhile comes easy," or "You have to struggle for everything." While hard work certainly has value, these ideas can quietly become unhealthy if they convince you that peace, joy, love, or abundance are only available after endless suffering. As a result, when something good begins entering your life, you may unconsciously question it. You wonder if it's too good to be true. You expect something to go wrong. You wait for disappointment instead of welcoming possibility. Without realizing it, you close the very door you've been hoping would open. One of the most powerful changes you can make is learning to feel worthy before the results appear. Worthiness isn't something you earn after achieving your goals. It begins with recognizing that your value isn't determined by your current circumstances. Your dreams don't become more valid because someone else approves of them. Your life doesn't become more meaningful only after reaching a certain level of success. The moment you stop tying your worth to external achievements, you become emotionally available to receive what life has been preparing for you. A simple daily practice can begin shifting this mindset. Spend a few quiet moments imagining that your desire has already become reality. Instead of focusing on the excitement of getting it, focus on the peaceful feeling of already living with it. Notice how natural it feels. Notice how relaxed you become. Then gently repeat to yourself, I am open to receiving good things. I welcome opportunities with gratitude. I allow life to surprise me in beautiful ways. These aren't magic words. They're reminders that help replace old beliefs with healthier ones. Over time, your mind begins accepting receiving as something safe rather than something unusual. It's also important to let go of the idea that receiving always has to happen in dramatic ways. Many people overlook the blessings already arriving because they expect life-changing moments every day. They miss the encouraging conversation that opens a new door. They ignore the unexpected idea that solves a problem. They fail to appreciate the peaceful moments that restore their energy. Receiving often begins quietly. The more grateful you become for small gifts, the more naturally your heart opens to greater ones. Gratitude expands your awareness of what is already flowing into your life. Sometimes receiving also requires releasing control. You may have a very specific picture of how your dream should unfold. You expect one opportunity, one person, or one exact path. But life often has creative ways of bringing you what you need. When you remain open instead of rigid, you allow possibilities you may never have considered. The destination may remain the same, even if the journey looks different from what you imagined. Flexibility creates space for unexpected blessings to appear. Another important truth is that receiving isn't selfish. Many people feel guilty about wanting a better life because they worry it somehow takes away from others. But abundance isn't a limited resource that only a few people can experience. When you become healthier, more peaceful, more generous, or more fulfilled, you often become a greater source of encouragement and kindness for everyone around you. Your growth has the power to inspire others to believe in their own possibilities. Receiving with gratitude often becomes the beginning of giving with joy. As you continue this journey, remind yourself that your role isn't to force every opportunity into existence. Your role is to prepare yourself emotionally to welcome them when they arrive. Become someone who expects good things without feeling entitled. Become someone who appreciates small blessings while remaining open to greater ones. Become someone who no longer believes struggle is the only path to success. The more comfortable you become with receiving, the less resistance you create within yourself. So today, take a deep breath and quietly release the belief that you must endlessly prove your worth before life can bless you. Open your heart to possibility. Let gratitude replace hesitation. Let confidence replace self-doubt. Trust that you are capable of receiving love, peace, abundance, opportunity, and joy without constantly questioning whether you deserve them. Sometimes the greatest transformation doesn't begin when life gives you something new. It begins the moment you finally believe you are ready to receive what has been waiting for you all along. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself is this: who would I be today if my dream had already come true? Not tomorrow, not next year, today. Most people spend their lives waiting for external circumstances to give them permission to become confident, peaceful, grateful, or joyful. They tell themselves, when I finally reach my goal, then I'll feel successful. But what if you've been approaching it backward? What if the version of you who already has everything you desire thinks differently, feels differently, and moves through life differently long before the results become visible? The journey begins the moment you choose to live from that identity instead of constantly chasing it. Think about the person you hope to become. Maybe they are financially secure. Maybe they are surrounded by loving relationships. Maybe they wake up every morning with purpose, confidence, and inner peace. Now ask yourself another question. How does that version of me think? They probably don't spend every day doubting themselves. They don't constantly compare their life to everyone else's. They don't allow temporary setbacks to convince them they've failed. Instead, they carry a quiet confidence that comes from knowing who they are, not just from what they own. That mindset is available to you right now. You don't have to wait for success to begin thinking like someone who already believes in themselves. Your identity quietly shapes every decision you make. Imagine two people facing the same opportunity. One believes they are capable, prepared, and worthy. The other believes they always fail, and nothing ever works out for them. Both may have the same talent, the same resources, and the same chance to succeed. Yet they will likely make completely different choices because they see themselves differently. One moves forward with courage. The other hesitates because fear has become part of their identity. This is why changing how you see yourself is often more important than changing your circumstances. Your outer life naturally reflects the person you consistently believe yourself to be. Living as the version of yourself who already has your desire doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities or acting unrealistically. It means asking, how would the future version of me respond to this situation? Would they panic over every obstacle? Probably not. Would they give up after one disappointment? Unlikely. They would respond with patience, wisdom, and confidence because those qualities have already become part of who they are. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice becoming that person today instead of someday. One of the simplest ways to strengthen this identity is through your daily habits. Small actions repeated consistently become powerful evidence of who you believe yourself to be. If your future self values health, begin treating your body with care today. If your future self is calm under pressure, practice choosing peace during stressful moments. If your future self is generous, begin giving kindness freely, even before life looks exactly the way you want it to. These small choices may seem insignificant at first, but they quietly build a new identity. And identity always influences behavior more deeply than temporary motivation. It's also important to pay attention to the conversations happening inside your own mind. Listen carefully to the words you repeat every day. Do you often say, "I'm always unlucky, nothing ever works out," or "people like me never succeed"? Those statements become part of the story you tell yourself. Your mind begins accepting them as truth, and your actions naturally follow that story. Instead, begin speaking from the identity you are creating. Tell yourself, "I'm becoming stronger every day. I expect good opportunities. I trust my path. I remain calm because I know my future is unfolding." These statements aren't about pretending. They're about intentionally shaping the story that guides your life. Another powerful practice is visualization, but not as an escape from reality. Use it as a rehearsal for the person you're becoming. Close your eyes and imagine yourself living one ordinary day as your future self. Notice how you wake up. Notice how you speak to people. Notice how confidently you make decisions. Notice the peace you carry into everyday moments. Then open your eyes and bring a little of that version into your actual day. You don't have to change everything overnight. Even one small shift in attitude, posture, or thinking begins strengthening the identity you're choosing. Remember, transformation rarely happens through one dramatic event. It happens through thousands of quiet moments where you repeatedly choose a better way of thinking, speaking, and living. Every time you respond with confidence instead of fear, you reinforce your new identity. Every time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, you strengthen your future self. Every time you remain hopeful despite uncertainty, you prove to yourself that your circumstances no longer control your inner world. Little by little, the person you once imagined stops feeling distant and begins feeling familiar. There will still be moments when doubt appears. That's completely normal. Growth doesn't mean you never experience fear. It means fear no longer decides who you become. When doubt whispers that nothing is changing, gently remind yourself that you're no longer waiting to become your future self. You are practicing being that person today. Each decision you make from that mindset brings your inner world into greater alignment with the life you desire. So as you move through today, don't ask only what you hope to receive. Ask who you are becoming. Walk with quiet confidence. Speak with kindness. Choose peace over panic. Trust over fear. Gratitude over frustration. Let your daily life become a reflection of the person you believe you are becoming. Because the moment you begin living as the version of yourself who already has what you've imagined, something remarkable happens. You stop chasing a future that feels far away, and you begin creating it through the choices you make right now. Your new life doesn't begin someday. It begins the moment your identity changes today. The breakthrough you've been waiting for may not require more effort. It may simply require more trust. Relax into the feeling that your desire is already unfolding. Let peace replace pressure. Let confidence replace doubt. The life you've imagined doesn't begin when circumstances change. It begins the moment your inner state changes. Hold that feeling. Protect it. Return to it daily. You may discover that what you've been seeking has been moving toward you all along. If this message spoke to your heart, carry it with you today, and let your feeling become your future.